Game 1 win.
Thank you very much, D-Man, and what a game it was. It started off incredibly dramatic and action-packed. I want to start with the picks and bans because I felt like, Royal made it very clear they were targeting Bengi's champion pool. Bengi just resorted back to that Jarvan, who I personally love him on. It was the champion I associated with him in Champions. What was your take on picks and bans?
In picks and bans here, I think SK Telecom had a big edge right from the get-go because we had a situation develop where SK Telecom picked Jax. So you're talking about one of the strongest split pushers in the game. And they waited for that Faker pick until last. And why I love this is they set up an extremely strong 4-1 split because they had so much disengage. So Royal, they know how Royal plays. In fact, these guys, I think, scrimmed 23 times and SK Telecom went 20-3 against them. So they know how they play. So you know that Royal's going to 5-man dive you if you see them, if they're going up against the split push. What do? Huge amounts of disengage, huge amounts of crowd control to keep them under turret, continually getting hit. And there was really no answer. Royal picked an all-in composition. The Malphite, not as strong against non-auto attack champions as well. It was a little wacky.
So definitely the top lane was a big problem. I think that banning out the Renekton against them is huge because you could see they spent a long time even deciding. They didn't know what else to go with up in that top lane. But I have to say, Royal's focus onto Bengi with the bans was what really kind of blew me away there. I was like, why are they banning out? Bengi is not a liability in Champion Select. He plays all of the high priority junglers right now. He can easily play, Jarvan or at least Lee Sin by. But the reason that people thought he was tunneling on Lee Sin before is because he was trying to take that away from Watch in their games versus Naj and Sword. And man, did Bengi just rule this game from the first couple minutes.
And honestly, until very recently, Bengi was not a player that was known for Lee Sin. He was an Elise and Jarvan main. He pulled out the Vi very recently and started drawing bans that way as well. But I mean, I think it's great for SK Telecom that he's able to absorb all these bans because he always has another card to play.
I think Lucky is actually the liability in the jungle over there.
I feel like Doublelift is wanting to get something.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you guys have said. I think Bengi is definitely a contender for just best jungler in the world right now. He's playing so well. Like, every one of his movements is so calculated, where I feel like Lucky is playing really sloppy. He's playing really reactive. Bengi is the one who initiated the game-turning moment. He went to 4v2 dive bottom lane. They killed Uzi and Tabe and took the tower and then took Dragon off of it. That was a Faker and Bengi initiated play.
Let's actually talk about this a little bit because we've really, we've gone from the picks and bans and we've been highlighting now Bengi because he was so heavily targeted and he still had a very big impact. But the early game basically decided this matchup. We did see Royal getting the first tower. They got some kills under their belt, but my word, did Faker play well. And some of the rotations, I think, Krepo, you had some thoughts.
I actually want to go back a little bit earlier than that because the way they played the early game from Royal was really impressive. They managed to hide in their jungle, don't give any entrance to SKTT1, allowed them to actually dodge the 2v1 matchup, put Malphite against Koki and Fresh, and as we saw, Piglet and Pumandu, they couldn't get him down, they couldn't get him poked down. Eventually, Malphite got too much wave clear. They were even taking tower shots. I saw at least like 3 or 4 tower shots on Piglet and Pumandu. At the same time, on top lane, Uzi and Tabe, as a Sona and a Vayne, were out pushing and out poking a Jax Jarvan combo. That's a very lethal combo. I props to them for doing that. Then Lucky joined in. Ideal 3v1 push, like all went really well. In the middle lane, Faker was getting out CS'd. He was down 10 CS on the first 4 waves. But then, that's what everybody's talking about. Bengi Faker synergy comes in. Fakers opens up with a body slam. Transitions that with his flash, key signature move for Gragas players this tournament. Flashing mid body slam, catching your opponent off guard. Not allowing them to flash out. Instant combo from Jarvan. Barrel to finish it off. Beautiful play.
I'm really glad you brought that up because everyone's talking about, oh yeah, Faker played this matchup really well, but where's the jungler credit? Bengi got the first blood. He got the first blood, and then a repeat gank before the flash is back up again. Bengi's the one, he deserves the credit for that.
To be fair, that ties in with what Doublelift said. Okay, it's a favorable matchup. Orianna does really well early, but 10 CS up and complete wave control. If Bengi was not there to help Faker, this game could have gotten a lot different.
And for me, really the watershed moment of this game here was that rotation into the bot lane, the 4v2 dive that allowed them to take the dragon and really control this game. And there are certain times when losing that early tower can actually be beneficial to you if you play it outright. It teams where we saw the hard push up to the first tower, and that left an entire lane. And even though Malphite, has this teleport, he had to push it all the way back in order to put that map pressure back up. And that allowed Impact to move into mid, and then Faker and Bengi to go down to the bottom lane. So they made something out of that, which is what you see from the best teams in the world. Perceived disadvantages, They use the map so well. What a clean rotation, and that's always what we give a lot of credit to SK Telecom for.
Yeah, one thing I don't want to see change from this game to the next is how aggressive Uzi is. This guy, he played Vayne, which is an incredibly squishy, low base HP champion, and he's not afraid to flash forward and just dive everyone by himself and just be like, my team needs to follow up, like, go, 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 go. I hope like a loss doesn't discourage you, because I know that White specifically is a really emotional player. You could tell after his first death that he got kind of like, rattled, and he died again, and then he just kind of sat mid and didn't do anything. He let his tower fall, he let Faker outroam him, and those are things that you can really easily prevent by just good communication, not going on tilt.
We actually still remember that play on the bot lane where Uzi just tumbled past the tower, reset tower echo, went back in, flashed out in the last shot, and then just stood in the brush, just teleport out. Like, didn't care.
Nerves of steel.
But I have to ask you, Peter, because you predicted White to go over Faker in this laning phase, and this was really reminding me of that Xmithy over Dandy prediction that he made as well.
Hang on a second. To be fair, it wasn't 1v1.
It wasn't Faker, it was
To
Faker
be
and
fair,
Bengi.
Bengi was there as well. I'm just highlighting that really quickly.
In a 1v1 setting, White did make Faker base at 16 CS, and White had like 32 CS, so he was doing really well in 1v1.
That's probably why they banned 2 junglers there,
Right.
because Bengi has been destroying them.
It's also just the matchup, though, right? It's Gragas' job to live until 6 and then all in at 6, and that's really where the power comes from.
Very final word, Krepo.
Big disappointment for me this game was the misuse of Malphite teleport. As we said, good rotations, but against somebody with a teleport, they should be forcing rotations, and they should never be losing dragons. And 3 out of 3 dragons for SKT1, really impressive.
For the American audience, I felt like Malphite came out of left field and didn't really have an impact. All right, guys, we're going to take a very quick break. But when we return, it is Game 2 between Royal Club and SK Telecom T1, the Season 3 World Championship. We'll be right back.